Hello, everyone. This is Jake Smeester, creative content specialist for Amazon Sumerian. I keep getting this weird background. Why is that background coming up? Where is that coming from? I don't know where that background is coming from. I'm in the TV room apparently right now. But yeah, maybe my Twitch cast is doing some funky stuff. So we'll see. Oh, there it is. Okay. Blue sky background. All right. Well, thanks for joining me today. Today I'm going to be looking at some stuff that we built on the AWS Twitch channel yesterday. But I'm going to be adding on top of that. So I tweeted out a little bit ago that we're going to be creating a party. That's because I'm going to use a mannequin that dances, and I'm going to create some flashing lights and stuff to all be initiated by that same light switch that we used yesterday. And so, yeah, I hope you follow along. This is some of these assets are not currently available to everybody, but anyway, I hope you follow along, and you can also use some of the other animations that are already included in some of our hosts. But one thing I just would disclaimer. I've not actually done this before, and so I have not rehearsed this. I don't even quite know what exactly I'm going to be doing, but I just have some random ideas and some thoughts that I would like to try to kind of build on the fly, build live, see how it goes. The way this is kind of working is that we're going to be broadcasting a Sumerian, course, an education course on the AWS Twitch channel. So please join us. That's Tuesdays at 1:30. Every Tuesday at 1:30, yeah. And on this channel, I'm going to be just doing kind of some random or fun stuff to elaborate on some other ideas and some things. And so, yeah, I hope you join both here and there. I plan on continuing to broadcast Wednesdays at 1 o'clock here as much as possible. So, yeah, we're going to get right to it. Let me show you my screen. And here we are. All right, this is what we built yesterday. And I also had a little bit of issues with my audio, made some rookie mistakes. So I will be hopefully not making those mistakes again today, but let me know. I'm watching the chat room. ECG Taylor, thank you so much. That's Electronic Caregiver, I would assume. Thanks for joining. All right, so what are we going to be building here? If you didn't catch our Twitch cast yesterday, this is what we built. So I'm going to play this scene. And all right, it's dark in here. Not much is happening. But if I flip this switch, the light turns on and some music plays. That music should not be too loud. And then I turn it off. The music stops. Then I hit it again, and the music starts up again. This music that I'm using is from Juke Deck. Juke Deck is this really great tool that these people that we really love. They're building some really great technology they're building, and a really great asset for any sort of creative content you're building. And so what this is you can create a track. So it's music. So you want to create some background music. You can totally customize it to whatever you want it to be. So there's different genre options here. There's your mood options for your genres, and then you can choose. And this is huge. I do a lot of video production, and finding a song that works for the length of time that you're working with is really important. And so when you can actually, I'm holding a battery for some reason. When you can select the duration for how long you want it to be, that's great. So here I can select it to be just 30 seconds, minute 30 seconds. I can make sure I can climax it if I want, and then decide where I want that to happen, which is also really helpful for a lot of video production stuff. So I did create a song already, and it's called Gorilla Brew, and I added it to my scene. So that's the song that you're hearing, and it's all created with AI. That's what Juke Deck uses. Really cool stuff. So please check them out. A lot of the music that we use for Sumerian is connected or is using Juke Deck. So great service. So that's what this is. So we'll play the scene again. We'll check it out, and press play. Song plays. Great. All right, so what this is using is, we'll open my behaviors over here in the entities panel. There is, let's see, really, I don't know where this behavior came from. Must have added that some other time. Don't really know. But the 3 behaviors that we created yesterday are the light on, the light switch going up and down, and play song. So the light switch is the initiation behavior. So that's this light switch. So you click on it, and it emits messages that allow the light to then turn on and off, and also the music to play and stop. So these, what we call event messengers, really, really great. So that's how you connect multiple entities to each other, is event messengers. So one behavior or state emits a message out into the world of Sumerian, or into your Sumerian scene, and other entities can be listening in on that message, and when they hear it, boom, they can start doing an action of their choosing, or whatever you've set it up to be, not their choosing, but whatever you've chosen it to be. Really, really helpful when you're making interactivity within your scene. So that's the basic setup. So today I want to add to it. I want to add a little bit more. I want to put. We'll see how far I get, but I want to add some animation using the mannequin. And so what I'm going to be using for this animation is not publicly available. Also, disclaimer there. But there are some animations on most of the hosts, and so you can do some of this stuff, just not the specific animations I'm going to be doing. But again, this is totally live. I've not done this yet, so I hope you join me and walk with me through this to see how this works. All right, so the first thing I want to do is I want to add some flashing lights along with the scene. And so instead of just having this simple one light turn on, I want to create some flashing lights. I've done this in another demo, and so I'm going to be following kind of the same workflow that I did with that, the same process. All right, so let's clean things up a bit. Let's stop my scene first of all. Okay, let's see, this light, I don't know where this light is. So got a little bit junked up. This light here, this might actually be, I don't know where that one is. I'm going to remove it though, because I don't need it. Let's see, rectangle. Oh, this is, oops. I'm going to remove this. I'm just going to remove this rectangle. We don't need that. So let's see what we want to do. That looks okay. I'm going to add some lights now. All right, so we already have one light in the, let's see, what do we call it? In the lamp. There we go. But we want to add some other lights that are just going to kind of be hovering up above here. So let's go create an entity. Choose point light. We'll call this light 2. Let's name this top light 1. All right, and we'll move it up here. And this is going to be similar to the behavior. Well, it's going to start similar to the behavior of the existing point light, which is just this, what's called light. I'm going to rename this to light, lamp light. How about that? So we know where it is. All right, so the lamp light, let's look at the behavior that's attached to this. Well, let's actually back up. Let's look at the light switch one. So we'll talk about the state machine. All right, so this light switch, and when I say light switch, I mean the actual switch, not just the plate. So if I open up, where is my light switch? There it is, my entities panel. Dig down to the actual switch. So the actual switch here, that's what this is attached to, not everything else that is a part of this, the entirety of this light switch. So let's look at the behavior attached to this. It's waiting for click, so as soon as I click it, it moves over, transitions over to this next state, which this state has a tween rotate, which means it'll move up from negative 35 degrees up to positive 35 degrees. Simultaneously, it emits a message, that message being light on. And as soon as that all happens, that happens really, really quick. That happens within about 1 frame, maybe 2 frames. So well under 1 second. Then wait for click, then it moves to wait for click. So it'll sit here until we click it again, and once we do, it'll flip down, back down to negative 35 degrees, it'll simultaneously or almost simultaneously emit a message called light off. And then it goes back to wait click again. So it just kind of keeps going in the circular. Like click, flips, emits a message, waits for click again. And just keeps doing that for as long as you want. The light on action is then set to be off initially. So as soon as you play the scene, it turns off and then it goes to this listen state. So it's listening for that message. As soon as you flip the switch and that message is emitted, then it transitions to the light on. It turns the light on to intensity of 2 and specular intensity of 2. And then it goes back to another listen and it's listening for this light off message. And when it hears that, meaning you click the switch to go into the down position, and then it moves back to being light off. So that's how that works. The play song behavior is very similar, where it's set. It's not set to play automatically. So the song is not set to autoplay when you play the song. So it's already just needs to be listening as soon as you play the song. As soon as you do click the switch, the music starts using this play sound action. When it's done with that, it goes back to listening again, and it's listening for the light off. Once it does, it pauses the music using a pause sound action, and after that, it goes back to listening. So it's just this constant listens to it. Here's a message. Oh, plays a song, and then it's waiting for a message. Here's it again. Up, stop a song, and then it just keeps doing that round and round. So that's what we have currently. So this new light that we just added, which is top light 1. Let's add a component. Let's add a state machine to this one. Start a new behavior. And we're going to call this one light off. And then we're going to add a set light properties. And we just want the light to be off. So we're just going to, oh, that button doesn't work. Whoa, what is going on here? Oh. Weird. Okay, so set to 0 intensity and 0 intensity for specular. All right, so when I play, let's just test it, make sure that this light up here up there, let's make sure that it is not on. Let's see what happens when you actually turn it off. Yeah, I mean, you can see the reflection over here. So we play the scene, it should turn off. And it does, everything's off. Okay, so it's acting correctly. I didn't rename the behavior either. Top light 1 flashing. All right. So the set light properties doesn't have what we call a transition label, meaning you can't transition, you can't add a transition to another state, and so we just need to add an action, and we'll just use the transition action. Then we'll add a new state, and let's make this one listen. We'll call this one listen and light. Let's see, what is the message? Light on. Great. All right. And then let's add another state. No, we don't want to add another state. We just want to duplicate a state. But first, before I do that, one thing I forgot is I want to add the top light. I want to drag that entity into this drop input so it knows which light this relates to. Most of the time, in my experience so far, as long as you are adding this behavior on top of the light entity that it affects, it is no problem. But I like to do it just to make sure, and also just to remember that that's how the set light properties works, is just add the light in here that you're wanting it to affect. All right, so now let's duplicate the light off state. And let's make the color, let's make it some sort of wacky pinkish color. And then let's change the intensity to 2 and 2. Great. And then we want it to pause for just a second, because otherwise it'll transition, it'll go right through it. So even though you're setting the light property, it transitions so quickly between states. I mean, it's like one frame. So it's like, I believe that's 1/60th of a second. So you won't even really see it. So you got to pause it so it actually will hold that color or that light property for a bit. So that means you need to add another state. Let's actually test this. Something I'm wondering is, let's add action, and let's just add the weight action here. Let's see if this works. I have not, normally I do it on a totally separate state, but we're going to be adding a lot of states. So I'm wondering if I can save some space and just put the weight action on the same state. Let's see how this works. The weight is set to 5,000 milliseconds, so that's 5 seconds. So it should hold for 5 seconds if, once I click the switch. It didn't transition over. Why did it not transition? It might have actually transitioned over. What I think is happening is it actually, I think it ran through all of this without us even being able to see it. So what I think is, I don't think that this works, is what I'm guessing. So I'm going to create a new state. Let's get rid of these transitions. Let's make this weight 1 second. We'll call, I'm just naming it, wait 1 second. And then we're adding a weight action to it. And we'll change it to 1,000 milliseconds or 1 second. Okay, let's see how this works. Let me add a transition there. So then it'll go back to off after 1 second. All right, it works. It's not transitioning back to off. And I think maybe it's because I added that transition after I press play. Let's see. There we go. Okay. There we go. Waiting for 1 second. Let's maybe just make it 2 seconds. Again, I've done something similar to this. You may have seen me do a demo similar to this, but not this exact one. So I am doing this live and trying something sort of brand new for the first time. Let's see. Let's do this. Now we're going to have to, let's stop our exit play mode. Let's see. What do I want to do? All right. I'm trying to think ahead here. Let's just let's duplicate. Oh, we want to rename this pink light. Well, let's change another. I'm duplicating pink light, and I'm going to rename it. Well, let's choose a color first, and then we can decide. Light blue. Let's do a light blue. Sky blue light. Great, and then we'll duplicate the weight 1 second and get rid of. I'm going to get rid of all these transitions, so it's not adding new transitions every time I duplicate something. Okay, so then let's go back to pink light. We'll duplicate that, and then wait 1 second. We'll duplicate that. So essentially, you have to, for every time you have a set light property, you have to have a wait action or a wait state following it. Otherwise, you won't actually see it, the light change. It has to be held. Otherwise, it just shuffles right through that state, right through and transitions to the next so quickly that you won't even be able to see it. So that's why you got to tell it to wait. So let's copy the blue light again, and then the weight state, we'll duplicate that. And then let's do the pink light again. And then the weight, we'll duplicate that one more time. All right, let's see how this works. I anticipate this should be fine. We shouldn't have any issues with this one. Okay, great. Let's play a scene, see what happens. Nice. Okay. Great. Now, let's do something else. All right, so that's the first light. Let's do it with another light. So let's duplicate this top light 1. Why can I not duplicate top light 1? I don't know why it did that. Maybe I tried to delete it on accident. Okay, so top light 2, that's fine. We'll keep the name there. This behavior, I'm not sure what this behavior was for. So let's top light flashing. Okay, great. Actually, I've not done this before, and it worked out really great. So I duplicated, what happened here is I duplicated top light 1, which had top light 1 flashing behavior attached to it. But when I duplicate it, we got top light 2, and then also a top light 1 flashing 2. So essentially it then duplicated the behavior as well. So let's change the name because that's super confusing to top light 2 flashing. So now we're going to have 2 different lights. Let's change the location of the lights to right over here. Okay, and then let's change the pink to green. And then we'll change the blue to yellow. Great. And then let's change the... And one thing I didn't mention is that any questions you got regarding this or anything else is totally fine. So have at it. If you've got any questions, please shout them out. I am definitely keeping an eye on the chat room here. So we'll make this one red. This might be super obnoxious, but who cares? Let's just see what happens. Let's do dark blue. And then pink. Can you make a black light? I wonder if... Let's try to do like an orange. Perfect. Orange light. So, and I said we're going to make a party. That's kind of what we're doing. And then we'll add some animations here in a minute. So let's turn this switch on. Funky weird. Okay. One thing that I don't like about this, though, is that both of those different lights are changing at the same time. So you're getting like both transitions at the same time because they're all set to one, what do you call it? 1 second. So let's try something else. Let's make sure the wait 1 second. Oh, it's 2 seconds. So we're actually going to change it to 1. I forgot that I had done that. So when I said wait 1 second, it's actually 2 seconds. So that is incorrect, but that's okay. We'll just keep that in mind. Now it actually is 1 second. somewhat. All right, so now we got some flashing lights going on. Now here's the part I haven't really tried, and that I'm just crossing my fingers will work the way I hope it does. I'm going to add in a mannequin, and the mannequin has some special animations attached to it that, again, I have not seen. So let's see how this works. I'm just going to go ahead and drag my mannequin. Is it already in there? No, it's not. Is this the one? No, this is not what I wanted. Hold on a second. Here it is. Sorry, I'm just finding it off my local machine. All right. There's a mannequin. The one thing I have done is I did import it just a minute ago, and I do know that this mannequin is huge. So if I press the F key, you'll see how much bigger the mannequin is than our tiny little room. So what we want to do is, let's change this to 0.01 and 0.01 and 0.01. Okay, and then we'll go to the mannequin. Much better. Actually, looks just about perfect. I'm going to also get rid of, at least just going to hide this furniture. Don't really need it. Let's rotate our mannequin. And then cool. All right, so let's press play. Let's see what happens here when we press play. I imagine not much. We should just have a stagnant, idle mannequin. It's not doing anything. And that's what we got. All right. So let's push stop. Let's go to the animation component over here. And let's see. Okay, we got a few different animations. Again, I haven't looked at this yet. So the stand idle animation, that's the normal one. That actually is attached to all of our hosts. So that's not one we're really interested in. That's the one when I actually press play that the host just kind of stands there. Shoulders moving around a little bit. Oh, we got some interesting stuff going on. One of my coworkers who put all these animations on, that might have to do with the animation. So yeah, this is a customized, changed entity. So it might look a little bit weird. Right. So, but anyway, you see the animation, right? So you see it moving around, hands moving. It's like it's breathing, sticking its arm up like that, getting all weird. Okay. Well, hey, it's perfect for the party. Let's press stop. Let's now add on a state machine. There's already a state machine. Let's add a behavior, and we'll call this dance behavior. And we wanted to initiate the dance by hearing a specific message, so the light on message. So we'll go ahead, add action, and then we'll do the listen action. We'll search for that and add that. And the message is light on, the one we've used over and over again. And then let's just say dance A. I don't know if you noticed, but on the mannequin, I'll just go back to it, animation. There's dance _A, dance _B, dance _C. So there's dance A, B, and C. So let's test out all of these different animations to see how they work. So for dance A, let's add an action, which should be play animation. We'll just say, maybe it's a start animation. That's probably what it is. We'll choose dance A. So we got dance A and then dance A. Loops, just one. Let's see what we got here. Oh my gosh, look at that. It's perfect. Dancing mannequin. Okay. All right, that's great. Okay, so then let's go to, I have an idea. Let's do another state. Let's go to let's see. Is it probability? There's one. 50. What is it called? Oh shoot. Oh, we got some questions. Hey, is that a number? The uniform scale does not work with zero values. The 0.x values. That's interesting. Good question. Let me look at that. 1 second. Let's look at. I'll just go back to the mannequin. All right. So let's see. Chris Chan, 1712. Good question. I think. Okay. So it did not work. Okay. I'm just trying this out. Good question. I'm gonna look into that. This is something I've noticed myself. I'm gonna add a box here real quick, and it seems to change based on. I got some funky stuff going on with my lights too. It seems to change. Let me get rid of this. Based on when and how you change this number here. So if it's already checked, okay, see it's working now. If I go to unclick and then I go 4, okay, then let's go back to 4 and then I check it and I change this to 3, then it does seem to work. Let's check it again, and then let's make this 4, and then that 4, and then uncheck it. I'm trying to mess with it to see how that works. That's a good question, Christian. I'm gonna look into that and gonna get you an answer, if that's okay. Do the lights cast shadows by default? No, they do not by default. What you need to do to cast shadows, let me look at that. I'll go to light. Where's my light? So I'm selecting one of my top lights. This is a point light. You don't have options to add shadows with point lights. However, and again, I've been having something strange with Firefox, and actually not just Firefox. I've been having something strange with my UI where, and other people haven't seen this, but I have. Can't see things. So I'm actually clicking on the import or create entity button up here. There are 3 different lights: point, directional, and spot. Point lights do not allow you to add shadows. Directional and spotlights do allow you to add shadows. So if I click on the default lights, I know this might be a bit confusing considering all the stuff I have in here, but if I select the directional light and then I open up the light component, I do have the ability to add shadows to directional lights. And you'll see the same thing with spotlights, but not point lights, which are the lights that I'm currently using in this scene. Great. So Taylor added that. Thank you. And yes, it is a performance hit. Shadows are one of the heavier, one of the heaviest for computing, what am I trying to say? They take up a lot of computing resources for a scene. So the more shadows you have, the larger your scene will be, and I don't want to say it'll slow down, but it just requires more computing. Christian, thanks for looking into the uniform scaling thing. Seems to work. If you copy paste, Yeah. I agree. There is definitely I've seen some inconsistencies with that, and so I'm gonna look into that because that's something that I'm curious about as well. It seems like sometimes if you and it could be dependent on the object type too. So primitives might just respond well to it, whereas other things do not as well. I also don't know. I'm getting that weird light thing going on. Interesting lights stuff going on. So yes, to answer your question, I'm not sure, but let me. I'm gonna write down your question, and I'm gonna send you a message when I figure out the answer. Okay. Let's move back to this. I'm gonna delete this box. Yes. Let's go back to my mannequin. Okay, let's go back to my mannequin and this dance behavior. Now there's an action. So if anybody out there can remember, I know I've used this one. I just cannot remember what it's called. So I'm just going to scroll. It's an action that chooses two different paths. It'll go in two different. It'll transition to two different states, and you can select whether it's 50-50, 60-40% of the time. Increment counter, key press, listen, log message, mouse down. Random transition, that's what it is. Okay, so actually I don't want it on the listen. Well, maybe we do. Okay, so let's try this. So the listen state, I've added the listen action and also a random transition. And dance A, I have the first dance, and then dance B. Let's add the set animation action, and then we're going to select the dance B animation. Great. So on random outcome A, it'll go to dance A. On random outcome B, it'll transition to dance B. And if I go back to this one, again, probability of A over B is right now at 50% or 0.5. And so if you change this, it'll lean more random. It'll more often select dance B than dance A. We'll just leave it at 0.5. So let's see how it works. Oh, it just started. Okay, so what we need to do, I was first correct about this. It just went right on through. I should have known that one actually. I don't want it going through that transition until it's listened. So we'll call this one random and then add action. Okay, here we go. So basically this is like a fork in the road. That's how this is acting. So it shouldn't be dancing, the mannequin right off the bat. Okay, what's dance A? Let's see how long dance A lasts. It might be a while. We could be here a bit. I'll stop and start it again. One other thing that I haven't done is we have all these different behaviors playing and that are kind of going these large loops. How do you kill those animations and all those behaviors with another message? So that's something I haven't done. So I'm interested to try that. Okay, I really just want to see what dance B is. So let's just take, there we go. We should definitely get dance B this time. This is given me by one of my coworkers, David Chaparino. last minute. He sent this over to me, I think, 10 minutes before I started streaming. So, this is fun. All right. So cool. We got music. We got a dancing mannequin. But how do we make it so we can stop these lights that are flashing? And remember, they kind of go in this loop, and then they turn off. How do we make it so they keep going in a loop? And then how do we stop them with the click of the switch? And same thing with the mannequin. So how do we make sure that that gets turned off whenever we flip the switch? Again, I haven't done that yet, so I'm going to see if I can figure this out. ECG, Jeremy, is it possible to assign end states with n probabilities attached without daisy chaining? Something like the roulette wheel selection algorithm used to choose from probability distributions. I don't understand what you mean by n states with n probabilities attached. Maybe I'm not a mathematician, and I need to be, possibly. If you could expand on that. Let's see, I can look this up. Fitness pro project wheel selection. I'm looking at the Wikipedia. He just assigned it. Okay. You would have to do that with a custom script. So yes, you could, I would assume. But that is not a, that's, right now there's only a random selection state or action that will go in just two different directions. So are you wondering if it could go to anywhere? Well, let's see. Yeah, the short answer is yes. I assume so. That is definitely something you should be able to build, or that we should be able to build. But it just kind of depends, like any number of states. Let's see. Well, if it's any number of states, you'd have to, there can only be a certain, you would only have a certain number of endpoints. You don't have an infinitely large number of endpoints. You'd have to have a specific number of endpoints. And you might have to write a script that will actually go specifically to, say you have 20 different endpoints or possibilities. You don't want to write a script that could go to infinite possibilities. You want to write something that could go to 20. So if that's what you're asking, I believe so. Again, but that's something you would have to write a custom script for and then use a state and a fire action script, fire script action to implement that. Did Adobe Maximo assets work in Sumerian? I don't know. I have not used that. It depends on what kind of types. Let's see, Lee P. Robert, I'm guessing. What asset types are those? You're welcome. Yeah, I'm going to continue on with this. But let me know. I'll answer that when you let me know what kind of asset types those are. Okay. All right. So how do we kill these? How do we kill these behaviors? Let's start with this the top light 1 flashing. Let's see. Now we want this to actually keep going. Maybe what we need to do is let's back up here. The first thing we want to do is make sure it doesn't return to the off state for the lights. So we want to go this way. So in this way, it should make it so this just keeps going round and round and round until something happens. I think I know how to do this. So let's see what happens. You see it moving round and round here. It should just keep going. Yep, okay. So that's working correctly. Let's add another state to top light 1. Or not another state, I'm sorry, another behavior that kills the light. And again, we're going to start with the listen action. And let's see, we want to set, can you stop behavior? Stop sounds, stop timelines, start microphone recording, set light properties. This might not work exactly the way I want. But let's see if I can. Okay, then we're going to add a transition because we need a transition label. I'm going to also hide top light too because it's just a little distracting. Because we just want to look at the top light one, which is, it can be export rigged animation characters, SBX. I'll test this. If it's an FBX file, then yes, it should work. OBJ and FBX files work in Sumerian. So if I have not used, clearly I've not used it, I can't even say it correctly, obviously. So clearly I haven't used it. So I don't have an experience, but I would export and just import the zip file into your Amazon Sumerian scene, and if it's one of those FBX files or OBJ, it should work. Christian, you could also add a listen action for the light off to all states that contain the wait action, and then connect it to the light off. Yeah, you could. So yeah, so there's a number of ways to do that, but I feel like that also would just expand. I'm trying to do the least amount of states as possible, so I'm wondering if this will work. It probably won't work exactly the way I want it to, but it might get me a little bit closer there. It seemed to work. Something seemed to happen. That did not work. Okay, let's see. So what you're saying, Christian, might be correct. It might be the best method. So let's do the kill. For a light off to all states. Light. Let's see how this works. I'm also just trying to think of different ways to do this. I'm trying a different way. So I was going this way, adding it to the wait state. No, that's not going to work because it's not actually on that one. Okay, so I think what you had was the correct. I think it was the correct method. So we might get a lot of transitions here. Light off. Okay, so we got to do this on all of the listen. Light off. Oops. Light off. The one hiccup with this, I feel like, will probably be that if you somehow click it right in that one, in the sweet spot in between the transition. Oops. Listen, that's what we wanted. Why do I keep doing that? Listen. Getting my typing mixed up. Light off. Okay. So this, first of all, is not useful. So we really need to go from here to there to there. So all of the light off listen events should go here. Boy, that's kind of a crazy web. All right, so let's give it a shot and see how it works. Perfect. It works. Chris Chan. Great idea. This is what I love about Twitch. Twitch is so cool. Okay, we still have the dancing mannequin that we want to do something similar. So can I... Okay. So let's do it with the same... Let's do it with this, the top one. We got to do it with the top two. Because I want to make it with all. Okay, so bear with me as I do it with this other one as well. So on all the weight actions, we need to do... Listen, and then light off. And just go ahead and copy. And then add action, a listen action, great. Gotta be watching the time here too. Okay, add action, listen, add, light off message. Add action, I think one last time. Okay, so we should, on all of these weights, they should be all the same. And now we do the same thing where we just go back here. Okay, great. That actually was not as difficult as I thought it would be. Much easier. All right, so top two light is on. Okay, great. That's great. Okay, same thing we want to do with the dance behavior. See, we can't do. I'm trying to think how we can do also implement the add the dance C. Haven't seen the dance C yet. Let's actually, just for fun, let's change this to dance C. Just because why not? All right, so on each of these, we should have a listen action as well. Which should be light off. Oops. And then same thing. So both of these animation should be triggered. And then we're going to add another state that should be stop animation. And we'll stop the pause animation. Is there no stop animation? Okay, we'll just see how this works. And then let's do transition. Also, okay, so then All right, let's see how it works. I just pauses the animation. Interesting. Okay, let's see. That kind of works. Is there a resume animation, set animation, time scale, set animation? Ooh, I have an idea. Okay, actually, set animation. Where is set animation? There it is. Okay. What we really want is it just to go back to the idle animation. We don't need that one. So once we play, great. Okay, we did it. Because we didn't want to stop the animation. Because if it's in play mode, we actually want it to still have some sort of animation. We want it to move of some kind. So that's why we're not technically stopping the animation. We're just transitioning to a different animation, which is the idle animation. Okay, cool. So there we go. It's been about an hour, almost on the dot, and so we created a party. We have music. I actually can't really hear. Can I hear on my headphones? I don't have my audio set up correctly, so I can't actually hear the music. But I could definitely have something a little bit more synth pop or something like that. Would make a lot more sense for this. You're probably a little bit tired of hearing this music over and over and over again. I probably should have paused that. But, so there we go. So let's see, we got so many different, we have the animation on the light switch, we have the animation, or not the animation, we have the behavior on the light switch, we have the behavior on this light, we have the behavior on the music that plays, we have a behavior on these two lights that are up here, and then we have behaviors to, well, I guess it's just one behavior, not to stop them, but some not complicated behaviors, they just have a lot of different states involved in them. It stopped just as you put on the headphones. Oh, did it? Okay. Oh, that's all right. I just was going to maybe create a new song, but yeah, it's not really a big deal. Yes, so that is that. That's how you create a party. So I'm hoping to do this, continue this once a week, and kind of add on to different things that we cover in other scenes. I also might just discover something I think is cool and want to share it with you guys. So love all the questions. Love everybody just participating and asking. This is really, really great. And Chris Chan, I'm going to double check with you with the questions that you asked and get back to you. But to make in short, yes, if it's an FBJ or an OBJ or FBX file, it should work fine. But again, you got any other questions? Jump on Slack. You can find me there as well as the rest of the crew. And you can send me messages here on Twitter, Twitch. Where am I? Twitch. And then you can also find me on Twitter as well. So, thanks for joining. Hope you to see you next Tuesday on the AWS channel, and then also Wednesday on this channel. Thanks all. We'll talk to you later.